Good evening. My name is Beata Schulman, and it is my honor to serve as the head of Survivor Delegation to the 75th anniversary of liberation of Auschwitz. On behalf of Auschwitz Birkenau Memorial Foundation, I welcome you tonight.
Good evening. My name is Jonathan Bornstein. I'm the Executive Director of the Jewish Community Center of Krakow, an organization dedicated to rebuilding life in our beautiful city. On behalf of the Polish Jewish community, it is my honor to welcome you tonight.
It is our honor and privilege to welcome today over 100 Auschwitz survivors. Who arrived here from 11 countries. From Israel, raise your hands. From United States. From Canada. From Peru. Brazil. Australia. And all over Europe. I just want to mention that Mr. Hirsch Litmanovich from Peru is not today with us. He doesn't feel well, and we all wish him refuah shalema to soon return to other events. Thank you all for bearing witness, sharing your stories with the world from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for making this difficult journey back.
We are honored tonight to have in attendance President of Ukraine, His Excellency Volodymyr Zelensky. The Foreign Minister of Ukraine, Mr. Vadim Przystayko. European Commission Vice President, Ms. Vera Jourova. Ambassador of Israel to Poland, Mr. Alexander Ben-Zvi. Ambassador of Ukraine to Israel, Mr. Andrei Deshchitsa. Ambassador of the United States to Luxembourg, Mr. James Randolph Evans. The Ambassador of the United States to Iceland, Jeffrey Ross Gunter. Another esteemed member of the diplomatic corps. We also have with us tonight the Chief Rabbi of Poland, Michael Shudrick. The Executive Director of the Toby Philanthropies, Ms. Shayna Penn.
We would like to give a special welcome to extraordinary people who made this delegation possible. Donors of the Auschwitz Birkenau Memorial Foundation, thank you for sponsoring the event and making this special dinner happen. Present with us tonight, Ambassador Ronald Lauder and Joe Carol Lauder. Stephanie and Simon Bergson, Andrea Kaiton, Joel and Ulrika Citron, Auschwitz Birkenau survivor Elisabeth Citrom, Andy Intrater, Harry Krakowski, Jeff Schoenfeld, Howard and Carol Unger, and Auschwitz Birkenau survivor Jerry Wartsky. We also thank our pillars of remembrance, our donors who dedicated their time, resources for preservation of the Auschwitz-Birkenau Memorial Site. Thank you.
We would also like to welcome World Jewish Congress Steering Committee members, Robert Gut, Mary Kluck, Gad Arieli. The World Jewish Congress Commissioner for Holocaust Legacy, Charlotte Noblach. members of the World Jewish Congress Executive Committee, and representatives of Jewish communities from 48 countries, as well as local clergy, community leaders, memory keepers, and members of Krakow's Jewish community. Last but not least, we would like to welcome and give a special thank you to Ambassador Ronald S. Lauder, Chairman of the Auschwitz Birkenau Memorial Foundation and President of the World Jewish Congress.
For over 30 years, Mr. Lauder has dedicated his life to preserving Auschwitz Birkenau Memorial Site, making sure that stories of survivors will not be forgotten. Mr. Lauder's vision and support allowed many Jewish communities around the world rebuild themselves and thrive. Mr. Lauder also is a great supporter of State of Israel and Poland. We welcome on stage Mr. Ronald Lauder.
Let's wait here for him. We'll greet him over here. No, wait here.
President Zelensky, government officials, distinguished guests, I'm especially gratified to be here tonight with more than 100 survivors of the Auschwitz Birkenau camp and their families. I want to emphasize that the last part of that sentence, and their families. The reason we are here in Krakow tonight is because the Nazis built Auschwitz and all the other camps with a clear aim of wiping out any trace of Jewish life in Poland, in Europe, and eventually throughout the entire world. But here you are, the people who survived those camps, and you are here with your families, the next generation of Jews. How remarkable that is. Bravo. In spite of the terrible damage caused by Hitler, this monster was defeated, and you are here. We survived as a people. Am Yisrael Chai. We survived thanks to the brave Allied armies. But I think there's another reason the Jewish people survived, and that's almost never mentioned. I want to talk about this, and especially tonight. It's about you, the survivors. It is thanks to your courage, your determination, and your belief in our people. You followed the most basic Jewish tenet, the importance of life. When others may have given up, and you certainly had good reason to do so, you were determined to continue your lives. This took a courage that most people cannot even begin to understand. How does a human being continue to even live after losing your mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, aunts, uncles, cousins, and in some cases, people lost their wives and their children? And what did they do? They were determined to create new families, to create new life. How unbelievably courageous. I have spoken at many different events in front of many different audiences, but I feel most honored to address you. You have alone a perspective that none of us could ever have. And that is why we honor you and we honor your bravery. You have been a role model for the entire Jewish people and one that we can learn from. So on behalf of the Jewish people, I thank you. There is one more thing that I must point out that has been overlooked for 75 years in all the commemorations and the history books. But I think it's important to talk about tonight. Few people have ever looked at the Jewish reaction to Auschwitz. In the greatest hour of need in the 1930s, when European Jews begged other countries to take them in, the world turned its back on them. So many lives could have been saved, but no one would help. You know all the rest of this terrible story. So after Auschwitz was liberated and the Nazis were defeated, what was the Jewish reaction after it was all over? How do we act after losing a third of the Jewish people on this planet? First, there was not one single act of retribution. Germans and Austrians not killed in the street in revenge. Coffee shops and restaurants were not blown up by Jewish suicide bombers. We did not leave our people to fester for 75 years in DP camps. Yes, there were DP camps right after the war to help process the survivors immediately afterwards. But these camps disappeared so quickly that few people today even know they existed. Jews did not create terror and mayhem around the world and extort money from governments like a crime syndicate. It's ludicrous to even ponder because everyone knows this kind of behavior is so antithetical to who we are. Here is the Jewish way, and no one ever here should forget this. The Jewish people created a new country against all odds in a dangerous part of the world. They created a democratic nation with laws and justice and a thriving economy without oil. Perhaps more importantly, especially considering why we're here tonight, they created a safe haven for any Jew anywhere. We learned this lesson the hard way, not to count on anyone else except us. Jewish survivors created miracle after miracle. They created books, medical breakthroughs, business and jobs for all people. As I have said, the Jewish people created life. That is a Jewish way. So when you go to Auschwitz Birkenau tomorrow and you walk through those painful gates again, I'm sure you'll be flooded with memories. You remember the loved ones you lost, but please always remember what you have done. And remember that in so many cases, you have a legacy of courage for your children and your grandchildren, and all of us. You have the Jewish people, and you leave the Jewish people the most precious gift. You leave us hope. And for that and everything else, I say thank you. God bless you all. Thank you very much. And God bless you for being here. And see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Lauder, for those inspiring words and a call to arms. It is now my honor to invite to the stage the President of Ukraine, His Excellency Volodymyr Zelensky. Remember, we go to the side this time.
Thank you very much. A great honor to be here. Пані та панове, по-перше, це велика честь для мене бути сьогодні тут з вами. Сьогодні тут присутні ті, хто пережив Голокост. Присутні бранці Аушвіцу, яким вдалося вижити. Мабуть, людство ще не вигадало слів, які могли б описати незламність та силу вашого духу. Опубліковано багато спогадів в'язнів Аушвіцу. Їх правда дуже складно читати, адже букви просто пливуть від нестриманих сліз на очах. Більшість цих спогадів об'єднує заклик: не можна мовчати. Про це потрібно говорити. Молоде покоління повинно знати ці історії, знати про жахіття Голокосту, щоб на цій планеті ніколи нічого подібного не допустити знову. Тому я хотів би зачитати деякі фрагменти цих спогадів. Ми перевозили 50-кілограмові цементні мішки. Було не тільки важко, але й небезпечно. Якщо хтось зривався вниз і потрапляв у незастиглий цемент, нікому не дозволяли його витягти. Той, хто падав, залишався помирати. Мама народила мене 21 грудня в казармі Сі. Я не плакала. При народженні я важила близько кілограма. У мене просто не було сил плакати. Ми спали на дворі. Першу їжу, яку нам дали за довгий час, була миска з овочевим супом. Довга миска для 6 людей. Вони сказали: ви не кращі за собак, тож їжте, як собаки. Ці історії про те, що людська жорстокість просто не має меж. Хоча тих, хто все це вчинив, не можна називати людьми. Це істоти. Навіть, щоб просто читати ці історії, треба мати силу. І я не уявляю, яку силу треба мати, щоб таке пережити. Ви це зробили. Ви неймовірні люди. Дуже сильні і дуже сміливі. Ви надихаєте ніколи не здаватися. Голокост називають найтемнішим періодом в історії людства. І ви – проміння сонця, які перемогли цю темряву. Нобелівський лауреат, бранець Аушвіца та Бухенвальда Елі Візель сказав: протилежність любові – це не ненависть, це байдужість. І ми не можемо сьогодні не згадати тих, хто не був байдужим і, ризикуючи власним своїм життям, рятував євреїв. Це праведники народів світу. І я пишаюсь тим, що понад 2,5 тисячі українців удостоєні цього високого звання. Спогади бранців Аушвіцу сповнені різними емоціями. Це біль, страх, в той же час боротьба, витримка і надія. А головне – це неосяжна людська мудрість. Адже у цих спогадах я не побачив ненависті. Навпаки, люди, які пережили пекло, кажуть про те, що треба покінчити з ненавистю. Викорінити ненависть як найбільший руйнівник людської цивілізації. І я впевнений, що сьогодні це завдання номер 1 для кожного світового лідера. Міжнародне товариство має об'єднатись і не допустити будь-яких проявів антисемітизму, ксенофобії та расизму. Має стояти на сторожі гуманізму, толерантності та свободи. Зупинити зло, перш ніж воно стане небезпечним для всього людства. Пані та панове, сьогодні всі ми сповнені почуття болю та суму за мільйони жертв Голокосту. Це жахлива трагедія єврейського народу і трагічний урок для всього людства. З глибокою повагою ми вшануємо пам'ять усіх загиблих. У венеційському гетто на стіні з іменами жертв Голокосту є такий напис: «Ми не маємо права їх забути, бо наші спогади – це їхні єдині могильні плити». Пам'ятати і ніколи не допустити знову. Це наш обов'язок перед пам'яттю мільйонів невинних жертв, мільйонів євреїв. Це наш обов'язок перед усіма майбутніми поколіннями. Для мене велика честь бути сьогодні з вами тут. Дякую.
Give him a minute.
It is our honor to welcome on stage Auschwitz survivor Elisabeth Citrom, who will address us tonight with her son, Joel Citron, Vice Chairman of the Auschwitz Birkenau Memorial Foundation.
He's got it? She's first, right?
Good evening, everyone. As Vice Chairman of the Auschwitz Birkenau Memorial Foundation, I'd like to thank a few people before my mother and I start with our more formal remarks. Beata Schulman and Maria Selewska and the entire foundation team. You work day and night to plan and organize this event in cooperation with a lot of other organizations, the good people of the Auschwitz Birkenau State Museum and its foundation, the World Jewish Congress, the JCC of Krakow, and JRoots. Thank you. I want to especially recognize our chairman, Ambassador Ronald Lauder. For his visionary and steadfast leadership in preserving Auschwitz for well over 3 decades. Ronald, to me and to all of us here tonight, you're truly an inspiration, and let me tell you, we're grateful beyond words. Thank you. Great responsibility lies on the second, third, and coming generations to carry on our memory, to tell our story. Do not forget that if we had had our own country, the Shoah would not have happened. Israel is important to the Jewish people, no matter where they are in the diaspora. Dearest survivors, friends, ladies and gentlemen, those were my father's words a few months before he passed away 2.5 years ago. My mother and father were both from Transylvania. They grew up in separate towns. In the spring of 1944, they arrived in Birkenau. My mother, Elisabeth, was 12, or as she likes to say, she was 12 and a half. My father, George, 13. They were children. In 2015, I had hoped to travel to Auschwitz for the 70th anniversary with my parents. But my father would not, and he could not, return to the place where he had so suffered. I went in their place as I felt an overwhelming responsibility to protect the horrific cemetery, a testament to evil that is Auschwitz. In addition, I wanted to honor those who survived and remember all those who perished. 4 years later, my mother joined my youngest daughter, Clara, for the March of the Living. And this year, she's here with her fellow survivors and with all of us.
Years ago, while I was staying with Joel and my daughter-in-law, Ulrika, Clara asked me if I would join her and some of her friends on the March of Living. Having just lost my love and partner of 70 years, I desperately needed to confront life alone, revisiting my most painful past with my grandchild may not seem to be the most obvious way to move forward, but I embraced the opportunity. I went to Auschwitz for the first time since the winter of 1944, and while walking from Auschwitz to Birkenau on a sweltering spring day, I was able to tell my story to teenagers and embraced by them, holding their hands and answering their many questions. I truly felt loved. I was composed and calm as we approached the entrance to Birkenau, that horrific gate of death. It was not until I was sitting on the ground next to the crematoria and suddenly hearing a group of Japanese visitors singing Hannah Senesh's poem, Eli, Eli, shelo yigamer leolam. And that's when I started to cry.
In 1947, my parents tried to make their separate ways to Palestine, but instead ended up in an internment camp on Cyprus. By early 1948, they made it to Palestine, both ending up at Kibbutz Kfar Giladi, where they met, fell in love, celebrated the establishment of the State of Israel, and joined the IDF. Following their service, they caught up with their studies, my mother earning a nursing degree from Hadassah in Jerusalem, and my father graduating with honors in engineering from the Technion University in Haifa. His diploma is one of my most cherished possessions, along with the Iron Cross that my maternal grandfather earned in World War I, only to end up in Birkenau during World War II. I look at him every day, feeling blessed to have been given the gift of life.
I decided to come here now to be with you, my fellow survivors, to see you, to speak to you, and show the world that we are still here. I came here now to find closure, to relieve me from dark thoughts at night and nightmares, so that I can focus on what remains of my life. I came here now to say Kaddish for all my relatives who perished, and particularly for the block tester in Block 8, Fella, who saved my life. One night, Fella told us that the block would be liquidated by midnight. That was the children's barracks. And anyone who could get out were urged to do so. I climbed out and squeezed through a tiny opening of a window and ran to the latrines, where I lowered myself into the stench. And I hid. In the process, I heard the door open and two female guards talking with one, telling the other, "No can be so stupid to hide in here."
I was taught two fundamental lessons by my parents. One was never to hate, because once you do, there is no way to escape the dark alleys of evil. Or expressed in the positive, you shall love your neighbor as you love yourself. The other was to believe in the importance and fundamental right of a Jewish homeland, or as my mother always tells me, and the people you meet, I am who I am today thanks to Israel. I became a person again. So it is with pride and purpose and commitment that Ulrika, a daughter of a Holocaust survivor as well, and I pledge to all of you that not a day, not a single day will go by without us reminding the world what unbridled hatred leads to, by working wholeheartedly to preserve your stories and the sites where the atrocities took place, such as Auschwitz Birkenau. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for making this difficult journey and being present at this historical location. It is more important than ever as we witness the virulent resurgence of anti-Semitism and hatred to remember. So let's all be strong and go forward together. Kadima beyachad. Thank you very much.
It is now our privilege to welcome to the stage Michael Bornstein, Auschwitz survivor, who was liberated from Auschwitz Birkenau on January 27, 1945, when he was only 4 years old. He will address us today with his daughter, Debbie Holinstat. Are they not sitting there?
He's a Holocaust survivor. He has a plan, so we have to, we have to strategize here. You're good. I'll take them down. Okay.
Thank you so much. There are a lot of people we want to thank tonight, starting with Ronald Lauder, the Auschwitz Birkenau Memorial Foundation, and Dr. Schulman. You've worked tirelessly to get everyone here tonight.
And thank you so much to the esteemed leaders who showed up tonight. Your presence reminds every survivor here that their stories still matter. That group includes, of course, Ukrainian President Zelensky. I know there are a lot of ambassadors in our presence, but most of all, the survivors. I can't help but think, like, looking at this beautiful room, and as President Zelensky pointed out earlier, you were made to eat like dogs. My dad was made to eat like a dog. And look at you here in this beautiful, beautiful banquet hall. This is a beautiful, beautiful sight from up here.
They say that this is the last time so many survivors will gather together in one place. In 5 years, on the anniversary, the 80th anniversary of our liberation, they say most survivors will be gone. You know what I say? Never underestimate a survivor of the Auschwitz death camp. I can't say that I'm happy to be visiting Auschwitz again, but I'm grateful to be in Poland alongside fellow survivors. This is really nice. It's really comforting.
And for me, it is really humbling, not just to be in the company of so many esteemed leaders, but in the company of so many survivors, including my awesome dad. Full disclosure, when I got an email from Beate Schulman asking if my father would like to come back to Auschwitz for this event, I called him right away, and I think his exact words were, "No way, no thank you, tell them no." But he called me back a little while later, and he said, "You know what? I think this is really important. We should do this."
Also, Deborah is very convincing. She had reminded me that the world is forgetting about the Holocaust, and she was right. 2/3 of millennials haven't even heard of Auschwitz. I can't pretend that I wasn't here before. I was prisoner B1148. You probably can't see this, but it doesn't wash off. It's incredible to stand in a room where so many other people have tattoos like me. So many people here know what it feels like to look at your arm and see a permanent reminder of your past. I was 4 years old when I got my tattoo. When I got to Auschwitz, the guards ripped me away from my mother, Mamishu, my father, my older brother, Samuel, and my Babishu, Dora. The Nazis put me in a children's bunk. Older kids were starving too, and they would steal my food. My mother snuck in to share some of her rations, about 100 grams of bread a day, with me. She would be beaten over the head and showed me the scars that she got. Then one night, she snuck me into the women's bunk, where she had my grandmother kept me hidden under piles of straw. Rats bit at my toes at night while I slept. My father, Israel, was murdered. My brother, Shlomo, was murdered. And then my mother was selected to be moved to an Austrian labor camp where she knew how to pack bullets. She had to leave me behind in Auschwitz. When she said goodbye, she assumed she would never, never see me again. I stayed behind in the women's bunk, hiding under straw. People always ask what I remember. I was young. It's hard to be sure what I remember and what my Mamashu and Babashu have told me and from my paperwork at Yad Vashem. I do remember voices shouting at me in German. I remember my Mamashu crying. And for some reason, I remember the terrible smell, a foul, disgusting smell, and I know now that smell is burning flesh. I used to sneak out of the barracks of Auschwitz with my grandmother to find potato peels in trash cans to eat. Today, when I ride New York City subways, crowded subways, I sometimes get nervous thinking about that cattle car ride to Auschwitz.
So tonight my sister Lori is here. Lori, can you stand up? There you are. And I have a sister Lisa and a brother Scott, and I know for all of us, it's really hard to connect what my dad has been telling you right now to the man that we know. This guy is the stereotypical soccer dad, and now a proud papa on the sidelines with his oversized Nikon camera, jumping on stage at graduations, embarrassing my kids to get the best photos. When Lori and I were younger, right, we never heard him talk about the Holocaust. But we knew. My grandma, my dad's Mama Shu, who was reunited with him after the war, she whispered stories to us during the day when my dad went to work. What we learned horrified and also inspired us. My dad was born into a ghetto where anything of value that the family had was either stolen by the German Wehrmacht or hidden deep underground in the yard of a home that would also soon be taken. He survived, like so many of you in this room, the most notorious death camp in world history. He came to America with nothing, not even a handle on the English language. Today, he has an apartment in New York City and a home in New Jersey with a PhD in analytical chemistry, pharmaceutics and analytical chemistry hanging on the wall, alongside a shamelessly large display of photos of his 4 kids, 12 grandkids, and my mom, his wife, of 52 years. Hitler did not win. Look at you. Hitler did not win. Hatred did not win. I met so many survivors today in the airport alone, and they were the kindest, I don't even know how to describe the personality, so similar to my dad's, like you meet them and you love them and you want to hug them. Hatred did not win. And my dad and all of the survivors in this room, every one of you, are here this week to make sure the world knows that. This is what the world should see. A memorial for those who died, attended by the survivors who lived to tell their stories. Not shootings by a coward in California or a stabbing in Muncie, New York. I'm a TV news producer at home.
I just want to interject here. She's a producer, but she's also a wonderful writer. She wrote the book Survivors Club that was bid by 3 major publishing companies in New York.
Dad.
And made the New York Times bestseller list. Yay, Deborah.
Why don't you stick to the script here, okay? But I'm a TV news producer also, and I am tired of the headlines. This is the headline the world should see. Survivors united in remembrance. Remember this. To all my fellow second-generation members in the room, or even third, the job is about to fall to us. I brought my 13-year-old, Katie, here. Katie, where are you? Stand up, babes. She's standing, she's just little. One day, my kids are going to be teaching their friends about the Holocaust. Katie, I hope you start doing it the minute you get home. It is an awesome responsibility, Kay. And it's a privilege to be on the front lines of remembrance.
For 70 years, I hid my tattoo and avoided talking about the Holocaust, but that was a mistake. I survived to live a wonderful life. I think together we survivors can show the world that Jewish people are resilient, we're optimistic, and we stand together.
Tomorrow is going to be a really hard day for everyone in this room, but especially for the survivors. I know my dad's going to be saying Kaddish for his brother and for his father, as will Lori and Katie and my mom and I. And I know many of you will be doing the same for the loved ones you left behind in Auschwitz and during the Holocaust. And I'll also be thinking of the 1.5 million who died at Auschwitz and didn't get to have what my dad has, what you all have. But if my father's taught me anything, it is to focus on the positive. So I have to leave you with a mention of the miracles. And no doubt every survivor in this room has a few to share as well. My dad's Mama Shu, his mother, my grandma Sophie. She had 6 brothers and sisters. It was a family of 7 siblings before the war. And they all went different ways. My Aunt Hilda went to Majdanek. She was in Skarzushko. Buchenwald, she was led on a death march out of Buchenwald. My Aunt Ola, my dad's aunt, fled to Vilno, then trekked across Siberia, got paperwork from Chuni Sugihara, and made it all the way to Japan. Several of the brothers went into hiding in attics and bunkers, thanks to the grace, by the way, of a lot of righteous Polish people. All 7 siblings survived.
They all survived.
It's an impossible miracle. One more miracle. My dad's family had buried all of their treasures underground here in Poland at the start of the war. And after returning from Auschwitz and that labor camp, my grandma was determined to find her buried money and her jewelry. If you knew my grandma Sophie, you knew she was not leaving Poland without it. She dug in her old backyard until her fingernails bled, and she found their makeshift vault. But everything inside had been stolen. Their secret hiding place had been vandalized. It was empty, except for one thing.
And that one thing is this Kiddush cup. I think most of you know that a Kiddush cup is used to fill with wine and make blessings during celebrations. This Kiddush cup has been used at my bar mitzvah, my wedding, my children's weddings, and my grandkids' bar and bat mitzvah. And tonight, I want to raise this cup again. Please join me in a toast. Here's to survival, to faith, to optimism, and to life. L'chaim.
L'chaim.
See you at the 80th.
Good job, Dad.
That's great, Debbie.
Thank you for those absolutely inspiring words. Michael, we understand why you're very proud. Five years ago, during the 70th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz Birkenau commemoration, Auschwitz survivor Roman Kent, concerned by the rise of anti-Semitism and growing hate around the world, shared an important message with us.
We survivors share a common goal with the current generation. And hopefully, with all future generations. We survivors do not want our past to be our children's future.
Roman Kent described his hope that the future generations share with him a common goal. We, the third generation, would like to pledge to you, survivors, our dedication to fighting anti-Semitism and hate of any form. We pledge to you to preserve the memory of those who were murdered during the Holocaust and share your survival stories with future generations.
And we pledge to respond to the tragedy of the Shoah in the most Jewish way possible, to rebuild. It is my privilege to introduce you to Gila Baumel, a young Jewish diplomat from the World Jewish Congress, who will address us about the important fight against anti-Semitism.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, it is an honor and a privilege for me to be standing here tonight. I would especially like to honor the survivors who are among us. You have traveled from near and far to share your testimonies with us and to commemorate those men, women, and children whose voices cannot be heard anymore. Among them are my great-grandfather Lajos and my great-grandmother Ida, Zichronam Livracha. Had my father's parents not emigrated to Eretz Israel before the war, and had my mother's parents not survived and made Aliyah to Israel, I probably would not be standing here tonight. I am a member of the Jewish Diplomatic Corps, the flagship program of the World Jewish Congress. We are more than 300 young Jewish professionals from over 50 countries acting on behalf of world Jewry. I'm grateful to be part of this extraordinary program, and I would like to thank Ambassador Lauder for empowering us to impact Jewish interests worldwide. I want to show you something. I've brought with me a small and bleached out piece of paper. Yet it is not simply a piece of paper. It is the last letter my grandmother Hilda received from her mother, my great-grandmother Ida, before Ida was deported to Auschwitz and sent to the gas chamber. This letter is not only a memento to me, it is also a reminder and a call to action. A reminder of what mankind is capable of tearing families apart, of eradicating human lives, of crimes so ferocious the mind is too narrow to understand. And a call to action for me and for us, the following generations, to do everything in our power to never let it happen again. After the Shoah, Jews had hoped that the world had understood and learned from the past. Until today, we keep hearing the promise of never again. But quietly, in the depths of our hearts, doubts begin to arise as to whether this commitment might turn into an empty phrase. We are again faced with a rise of anti-Semitism throughout the world. In the US, a series of anti-Semitic assaults took place during Hanukkah. On Yom Kippur, a synagogue has been attacked in Halle, Germany. Anti-Semitism and hatred are continuously being spread over the internet. Jewish cemeteries are being desecrated. The Islamic Republic of Iran and allied terrorist groups such as Hamas and Hezbollah are trying to wipe Israel off the map. We can see neo-Nazis marching in the streets again. We can hear voices that deny and distort the Holocaust. We are faced with hatred against minorities, with attempts to curtail human rights and religious freedom. After the attack in Halle, Ambassador Lauder said, "Now we need action, not words." Let me add, we do not only need action, we need activists. The anti-Semites and haters want us to believe that we are too few, that we are alone. But this is not the case. We are not alone. The haters are only louder than us. They want us to believe that if we speak up, if we act, no one will come to our support. But this is not true. We do have friends and allies by our side. We must turn our volume up and unite to drown out the hate. Because hate is not an opinion. Because anti-Semitism is not an opinion. The Jewish community will not relent to the Jew haters. We will continue to live our religion, our culture, our tradition as Jews. And to those voices calling to draw a line under the Shoah and move on, we reply, the responsibility never ends. We, the young generation of Jews, will do everything in our power to keep the memory alive. We will remember the 6 million we lost. We will remember those who were standing by their side, facing death. We will urge the world to remember. We will remind political leaders to never let it happen again. We will call on civil society to not let us stand alone in the fight against anti-Semitism. We will strive to live up to the responsibility that never ends with all of our hearts and minds. We will turn words into actions. Thank you.
We would like to welcome on the stage Wojtek Socewica, director of the Auschwitz Birkenau Foundation in Poland, who will share with us a message from Auschwitz Birkenau State Museum.
Esteemed survivors, it is a true honor to have the opportunity to stand here before you in this wonderful room full of life and joy. Distinguished guests, excellencies, the Auschwitz Birkenau Foundation was established 10 years ago by Władysław Bartoszewski, an Auschwitz survivor and later diplomat, senator, and Secretary of State of independent Poland. It was his life mission to establish an endowment which would secure all the physical remains of Auschwitz-Birkenau, the traces of life, the traces of death, personal items of those who were at Auschwitz and Birkenau, and also the post-camp infrastructure for future generations. Today I can say with pride that thanks to a concerted effort of 38 countries, some municipalities, outstanding private donors, many of whom are here today with us, and other people, achieving this important mission is in our reach. The recent decision by Germany to make an additional donation to the foundation of 60 million euro, the announcement of the City of London, a very recent announcement, to contribute 300,000 British pounds, and other expected donations will allow us to safeguard the physical, tragic testimony of Auschwitz, your testimony, dear survivors. But we will not rest once this target is achieved. It is the Foundation's plan to develop educational programs, which will strengthen young generations' resistance and resilience against hatred, anti-Semitism, and racism. Thus, I am very happy to say that, for example, the Berlin State Opera has decided to donate the complete income from tomorrow's concert in Berlin, which will be dedicated to the liberation of Auschwitz-Birkenau, to a special program, a scheme which will reflect the history of Auschwitz. I would like to thank the organizers of this event for the opportunity to be here with you, the victims and witnesses of the unspeakable crime of the Shoah. As a token of gratitude for your presence and your readiness to share with us your painful experience, and on behalf of the Auschwitz-Birkenau State Museum, I am deeply honored to ask you to accept an occasional Medal of Memory, which we will distribute after the speeches. It is a tradition of the Auschwitz Memorial and the Museum to present these medals on exceptional occasions. The 75th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz-Birkenau is a particular moment in history. The Medal of Memory emphasizes the importance to commemorate and honor those who deserve it most. The medal is prepared by the Polish State Mint and is awarded to victims of Karl Auschwitz and heads of state and government who contribute significantly to preserving memory. It expresses the highest respect of the Auschwitz Museum and Memorial to survivors. The medal carries a motif of the death gate at Birkenau, where we will meet tomorrow, as well as a quote in English, Hebrew, and Polish from the notes of Zalman Grodowski. We have a dark premonition because we know. Together with colleagues from the museum and the foundation, I would like to hand over the Medal of Memory to all survivors following the speeches. Thank you for your attention.
It is my honor to introduce to you Dr. Maria Zalewska, Director of the Auschwitz Birkenau Memorial Foundation. It is my privilege to work with Maria hand in hand for the last 5 years, preserving authenticity of Auschwitz Birkenau and memory of Auschwitz. Maria's Polish great-grandfather was murdered in Auschwitz. For Maria, this mission is personal. Preserving memory of Auschwitz Birkenau would not be possible without working closely with our Polish partners. I give the floor to Dr. Zalewska.
Survivors, distinguished guests, friends, what an extraordinary privilege to be with you tonight as we honor the memory of those who perished and celebrate the lives of those who survived. We have all come here for many reasons. Some of us bear witness. To the survivors here today, we're humbled by your strength and determination to travel across the world to be with us tonight and tomorrow. Some are here tonight because they have committed their lives to the preservation of the authenticity of Auschwitz Birkenau. Ambassador Lauder, your dedication to protecting the objects and buildings, which in many cases remain the only silent witnesses of the lives and deaths of those who perished in the Shoah, is an inspiration to us all. Finally, many of us are memory keepers, educators, community organizers, diplomats, who work together to bridge the past with the present and look for new ways to tell the story of the Shoah to new generations. For most of us, not a day goes by without thinking or saying out loud the word Auschwitz. Auschwitz. Few words carry as much weight as that word. After the war, Auschwitz became the symbol of the Holocaust and genocide in general. Furthermore, Auschwitz has come to reside at the epicenter of Holocaust memory. Auschwitz is at the heart of the process of contemporary Holocaust memory building. But as historic facts fade from memory, our understanding of the traumatic past increasingly flattens. Similarly, as we move further away from World War II, Auschwitz becomes a proxy term for all other places in which the final solution was executed. That is why tomorrow, when we are sitting in front of the death gate, I will be silently repeating these 6 words. Birkenau, Treblinka, Belzec, Chełmno, Sobibór, Majdanek. And that is why tomorrow, on the International Holocaust Remembrance Day, I will be thinking about all the other camps and all the other places, many of them unmarked or missing from history books and maps, from emphasis or awareness, in which children were killed, in which whole communities were annihilated, in which the Jewish people suffered. Thank you.
To close our evening, we would like to welcome on stage 4 generations of Rachel Roth's family. Rachel, Auschwitz survivor, brought here 40 members of her family from United States, Israel, Germany, France. Please come.
Together with the Roth family, we will first listen to a short recording of the poem Hope, Hatikva, sang by Jewish kids in Munkach in 1930. After that, we will welcome all of you to stand and join us singing Hatikva national anthem of the State of Israel, together with the Roths and kids from the Ronald S. Lauder Foundation schools all over. Thank you.
בעברית. אני רוצה להזכיר 2 נשים, סבתי רומא רוטשטיין והלה לבית פרנק, ולספר רק דבר אחד, ששתיהן היו באושוויץ במשך 2. נראה לי שאין צורך להוסיף מילה נוספת. סבתא בת 94 והלה בת 98 איתנו היום.